What's going on, Canes fans? Welcome back to the show. By the way, let me know if my audio is okay and if you can all hear me. But yeah, the portal has officially opened, and I feel like in the last 48, not even 48 hours, less than 48 hours, that like so much has happened that if you look away for 5 minutes, you've missed a lot, and to have to catch up after that is it's a bear. Trust me, but this is insane. um, yes, Fresh. I saw that the FIU receiver. I can't think of his name right now, but yeah, that FIU receiver that had 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns reportedly is visiting Miami. So that could be a nice pickup for sure. And we're going to talk all things portal. Rivers, thank you. We're going to talk all things portal and some other stuff surrounding the program. A lot's happened since the last time I was on. Miami got their bid to the Pop-Tarts Bowl to face Iowa State, who's a solid team. Also, I think they're ranked 16th right now, 17th, something like that. So that's going to be a nice even matchup, a chance to prove ourselves against a top 20 opponent. So that's something to look forward to. The starters, a lot of them, maybe all of them may play. Who knows? But we're going to dive into all that. Let me see. Yep, my guest is ready to go. He went to his first game a few weeks ago, and he's just now getting his voice back after Wake Forest. So please welcome my buddy, CB. What's going?
That's actually not even a joke. It took like a week for my voice to come back, bro. It was worth it, but man, my voice took a hit. I did like 3 interviews. I was like, "So, what did you think about your visit?"
Because not only did you do the Wake Forest game a few weeks ago, you also did you go to the American Heritage game the night before?
Yes, that's where I actually, to be honest, that's where I lost my voice. It just got worse because we had the Miami game the following night. But I actually lost my voice at the Heritage game just because just going out there and rooting for some of the young players that I know. It was just if I'm at a game and I'm a fan, I'm a fan. So
yeah,
screaming, running up and down the bleachers, and my voice was gone. And then the game was the game. So I knew my voice was done. Yeah, it was done.
I've been there.
It's worth it, man. So worth it.
Of course, man. So yeah, a lot's happened in the.
A lot.
Since you and I talked last, a lot's happened. But let's dive into this. Well, first of all, let's talk about the 2 young men who made their announcement that they're going to be staying with the program. I think this is big news. Bobby Washington, who said he was intending on hitting the portal with his brother Robbie.
Yes.
Robbie's still in the portal, but Bobby, who's the linebacker, decided to take his name back out, and he will be staying with the program. So that's number 1. Number 2, Ahmad Moten, who I think this is huge because Ahmad Moten, he was he's been putting in the work, grinding, and now I think this is year 3 now with the program, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Finally, like the work is paying off. Really took a big step forward this season when his name was called. So he's an upperclassman, a guy with size, a guy with experience that's going to be coming back next year.
Huge.
In a very, very important position group. So he's going to figure into the rotation for sure. So getting him back is huge. So how did you feel when you it was just like an hour or 2 ago, I think that it was announced, but when you saw those 2 names are coming back into the fold?
So first for Moten, I'm just happy he's coming back because, again, like you said, it's a huge position for us. And we've got some really good young players, but it's good to have someone in the room with some experience in the defense, in the system. And I think he was our second best defensive tackle this year behind Simeon Barrow, who just played out of his mind. I think Moten, especially the second half of the season, he just started to flash more and more every time he'd get on the field. He's been more consistent this year, I think, too. And I think next year's the year he fully puts it all together. So I'm happy for him, too, that he's coming back for one more year. I think it's good tape for him to come back and show a full year of that consistency. And for Bobby, I think we all just felt like he's athletic, he's physical, he's aggressive. He's one of those players. There's a few players from his class that we're all kind of waiting and really excited to see when they finally get their shot. And Bobby was one of them. So I think it's good that he's coming back. Obviously, you're losing Kiko Malinoa to the draft. I don't know if Wes is coming back or if he's deciding to go to the league, but that is I did feel like linebacker was a position of strength for us as far as young depth went. So I think we're going to be good going into next year. You know, you got Popo Aguirre, you got Bobby Washington, you got Cameron Pruitt. I think it's a really, really solid linebacker room going into next year, and I think Bobby was a big piece of that.
Does Chase still have another year?
I don't think so. Let me see. I'm actually on their roster page too. 41. Chase is a redshirt junior.
I thought so because he sat out a couple of years, and he has and he's one of those players still hanging around that has the extra COVID year, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I like him for depth as well. Unless he, wants to go to like a smaller school and play all year, and get one solid year of playing. I like him for depth. I think he's another guy. He didn't get a ton of snaps, but he made the most out of the snaps he did get.
Yeah, man. Hang on. I got a Windows update thing that it's restarting in 3 minutes. No.
I hate when that happens. That happens mid-show.
Yeah, and you can't snooze it because it's gonna restart on you. Okay, took care of that. Yeah, so that getting those two is big. Depth, experience, and of course a lot of production from Moton. And speaking of the D tackle room, that is going to be a point of emphasis, I think, in the portal. Of course, you got Keyshawn Silver visiting campus this week. And you got a lot visiting campus this week, a lot of different positions that are going to be addressed. I feel like this season, it's not going to be like last season. It was kind of like, okay, every position across the board is open for improvement.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it's only going to be like 4 positions, maybe 5 that they add to. I think they're going to be a little more selective and cherry pick, which I agree with. I don't think they should just cast a huge net and just bring in a ton of guys. I would rather, especially on defense, they go get like 3 or 4 impact guys that are day one starters that are going to be like, we're going to take this defense to the next level and we're going to be leaders. As far as like must gets, any early favorites that you have, any positions of emphasis that like we really should like pour a bunch of money into? What do you think?
Well, I think I don't think you let Silver leave without a graphic. I don't know what you have to do, but I don't think you let Silver leave the facility without a graphic, because that's the defensive tackle that's going to eat some more space. That's going to allow the linebackers to play a little bit more free, and it's going to free up guys like Ruben Bain. What's up, Eric? Ruben Bain, guys like, next year with Booker Pickett on the outside and Cole McConaughey. You want these young guys having their one-on-ones. So you get a guy inside that you have to account for, a guy that can eat 2 blocks. Man, Bain will just eat, and the linebackers, that'll stop some of these guards getting to the second level and getting hands on our linebackers as well. If you've got a guy like that, that can just kind of be disruptive for a blocking scheme, just to ruin it a little bit for them, or have someone they have to account for. Because you got speed guys really with guys like Moton and Scott and Blunt. So you need an anchor. You need a big boy next to him. And I think Silver's that. I think we're all in agreement as a fan base, which we never are. The Purdue safety needs to be Kane. Like, I think we're all collectively on board with that one, right? He's physical. He's got the length. He's got the speed. I like safeties that have a little bit of ball hawk in them. I feel like we don't have that in our secondary. We have guys with. We have some guys with ball skills, but we don't have guys that when the ball is in the air, they think it's theirs. I like a safety like that. And I think he gives us that. I think you still need some depth in that room. Obviously, you lost a big piece of your class, or a piece of your class, which was a free safety that we were all kind of was hoping could be fast-tracked a little bit. But, when one door closes, another one opens. Purdue gives us a safety. So that's someone I think we've all got our eye on. Julian Humphrey, the corner from Georgia. I think he's decent. I think he's really good. I think he's still young too, 6 foot. But when you watch him, he looks bigger than he's just 6 foot. Like I assumed he was 6'1", 6'2", just watching just a couple of plays. I watched the entire Mississippi State Georgia game last night. And I'm watching, anytime he's on the field, he looks bigger than just 6 foot. And he's got long arms. So I like him out of Georgia. I'm kind of hoping we get him on campus and hopefully can get him in. Other than that, it's still pretty early, but there's
Mhm.
some names that are really exciting. I know everyone's waiting to see what happens at quarterback. Do we go in the portal? Do we go with Emory? I'm still waiting on a particular name or two, maybe to jump in the portal at that position. But you spoke about Eric Rivers. He's going to be on campus. I'm not as bullish with bringing in a receiver, if I'm going to be completely honest. I
I'm
think
with
at some positions you got to trust the eval. Like,
I'm with you on that. So Rivers is projected as a slot, although he could play inside and outside. He was used all over the field at FIU. I'm all for bringing in a veteran, like a big-bodied receiver to put on the outside. But that's it. One at the most. A guy that can compete
yeah, I agree.
for starting snaps, maybe put on the other side, on the opposite side of Isaiah Horton. But that's it. JoJo, if I'm them, I put JoJo in the slot. And behind him, you got Nikar in the slot. Chance, let him compete for an outside spot. Because I know JoJo probably would want to play outside, but I mean, that guy is a prototypical slot, with explosive breakaway speed.
They should just sit him in a room, turn on Tank Dell's film, and walk out. Body size, you know what I mean? They almost look like the same player in their pads. Like,
yeah.
I think he'd do really well in this offense. I just think at some positions, if you don't have a guy, that's what the portal's for. You got to go get a guy. But if you trust the eval, and we all believe Chance Robinson can be special, we all believe Nye can be special, and we believe JoJo can. Well, you still got solid tight ends in the room with Riley Williams and Elijah Lofton. And then you've got Horton on the outside. Those are the guys that are really going to anchor your passing game next year.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason you can't have JoJo with 30, Nye with 27, and Chance with 20. Those three should be able to make up your receiver 2 and 3 for me. I mean, we saw Clemson did it this year with a sophomore with 71 catches, a true freshman with 38, and a true freshman with 36. Those were their 3 leading receivers, and the rest were tight ends. I think we have a similar offense where we could have that same level of production. I think Horton has shown that when his number is called, he can deliver. It's a little different when the coverage is rolled your way, but I think he's got the skills. And again, I'm going to trust KB on this one. Kevin Beard has been working with him for a couple years now. It's his turn. He's up. I think it's time to give him a shot. I wish Malachi Tony could come in early, because I think if JoJo stays on the outside, I think that's your slot guy in the future. I think that's the future for the slot. But coming in late and asking a true freshman to contribute, OJ did do it. So I know people in the comments are going to say OJ Frederick did it, but it is a tall task to ask a young man. And remember, Malachi Tony is reclassifying. So he's younger than OJ would have been. But I don't think you need a receiver. If you add one, I don't think it needs to be a guy that's demanding to be a 60 catch guy.
Agreed. If there's a room that I would just ride with who we got, there's a few rooms. Tight end is one of them. Running back is one of them. Although just on sheer numbers, we might be a little thin at running back. We might need to add somebody just for depth. But as far as like 3-headed monster, the guys that are going to get the bulk of the carries, Lyle, Fletch, and I'm forgetting one. Fletcher, Lyle,
and
who am I forgetting?
Well,
oh my God, I'm drawing a blank right now.
CJ's gone. Damien's gone. You got Hellcat. You got Pringle. The CJ one, I thought he would stay.
That's probably who I was thinking of before the other day. I mean,
because I thought we had, so it'll be Fletch, Lyle, Yeah, and Chris Wheatley Humphrey and Pringle coming in. So you probably do need to add. I don't think you need a guy. It's similar with receiver. I don't think you need to add Damian Martinez next year. I don't.
No.
But what Louisville did adding Don Chaney, I think that's what you do.
Yeah,
You get somebody that
I
does
agree.
have a few carries in them, but somebody that can just be a piece in the running back room.
Yeah. Yeah. Add a piece there, add a piece at receiver, tight end. I mean, I think you're good there. I would add maybe one, maybe two linemen on offense, a tackle and an interior guy, maybe a guy that can compete for center, but you still got Nino, you still got Ryan Rodriguez, who looked really good in the offseason. It's a shame he got hurt when he did. And just a tackle for depth, maybe, in case you lose
Yeah.
anybody else. But I think offense, aside from that, you got to go get a quarterback, which they are shopping for. Definitely, they're in the market. They're looking. You
They
definitely
are.
shop for a quarterback, but aside from that, I don't think anything. You don't need to get an impact guy the rest of the offense.
No. I think it has to be like, when there were some crazy rumors that Zachariah Branch may jumped in the portal. So there's some
Yeah.
guys that it's 134 teams in the country would like to have this guy. So those are no brainers. But I don't think you're as pressed to get a guy unless you're in the building and you don't exactly trust some of the guys that are coming back for their second or third year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we knocked it out of the park last year with the trio we got. And I just think having one veteran, kind of like how we had Tyler Harrell the year before this, who didn't play a bunch, but did mix in the rotation a little bit. And obviously you don't want one injury to happen and then your room is shattered. So you do want maybe another depth piece there. But you don't need to go get someone that's going to demand, 50 catches this year. I don't think so.
No. I think you trust who you got and you roll with that. As far as defense goes, you mentioned Dylan Thieneman from Purdue, who a lot of the fans like. I like him too. I'll be honest with you though. I did more of a deep dive in his tape. He has some nice highlight reels out there, some nice highlight reel plays. His tape, I'll be honest, I thought I was going to be more blown away. I wouldn't say I was blown away. It was solid. It was.
People are saying this year's tape wasn't as good as the previous year.
Well, the previous
Did you find
year,
that too?
I think he had 6 interceptions last year, and this year he had none. So maybe they were trying to stay away from him a little more. I was about to say Purdue went 1-10, 1-11 or something. So when everyone around you is not good, and
it's hard.
No one's on the same page, that could work against you. Okay. But if you look at his body of work, very solid safety. Definitely I think there's probably by the time the windows, like people are done coming in after the playoffs and everything, there's probably going to be a couple better options. I think you bring in 2 safeties for sure. I don't know if you're in agreement. You bring in 2 safeties. If he's one of them, hey, great. He's a guy he's like a vacuum cleaner. He's going to clean up all those running plays that you keep them from leaking out into the secondary.
That's why I like him.
Yeah, he keeps the 10-yard catch a 10-yard catch. He doesn't let it become a 35-yard catch. Okay, so, and he's experienced. I like him. Nothing against him. I just don't think he's your game-changing safety.
I do think we need that. I do.
Yeah.
I do think we need that. There's a young guy. CJ Hurd was at FAU last year.
Mm-hmm.
I know they were in on him a little bit in last year's class. But you know how it always goes. You got to watch the tape and then you're kind of judging it based on the level of competition. He is 1 year in, but he is an interesting name. I agree that you do need for lack of a better term or for lack of a better analogy, you need the Cowboys going to get Deion Sanders for your safety.
Mm-hmm.
Like that free safety needs to be okay. All right. We're all breathing a sigh of relief when it's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be that. It needs to be the Cam Ward of safeties this year. I think safety is your priority because even at corner, I think the corner market is going to be a lot better than the good. I think we learned this year. Good safety play is not exactly in abundance. You know what I mean? It's not an easy position to play. And if you got one, you're probably holding on to him. You know, Downs is going nowhere. If
Yeah.
you've got that guy, you're probably holding on to him. So if it's, I think I'd be aggressive there to begin with. Obviously, you still want to.
We need
I
six
love
safety.
Zaquan Patterson, and
Oh
I
yeah.
do think so. I'm of the opinion that if you get two safeties, one of them probably needs to be able to be a little versatile. Because I think you don't want to sit Zaquan Patterson for a full year again next year. I don't think you want to do that.
No. Zaquan plays.
Yeah,
He has to.
you know how Jaden Davis kind of was for us, where he could play outside, inside. I think you need the second safety to maybe be able to do that. He needs to be able to
Mhm.
come down in the box sometimes, maybe play some nickel sometimes. But I do think we need some veteran leadership at safety because it's just really young in the room. I mean, after the guys that are leaving this year, I mean, Markeith has the most experience, but after Markeith, you know, Dylan Day, Zaquan Patterson, Isaiah Thomas, Bryce Fitzgerald coming in, it's really young. So I agree with two. I agree with two for sure.
Yeah. And would you do the same at corner? Because corner,
Yes.
here's the thing. I think you got a nice little young core there. You got OJ coming back.
Yes.
He is the future and the present. He's a stud.
Yeah.
Probably going to be a freshman
Yes, he is.
All-American this year. Had one bad game against Syracuse. One bad game. Fine, you're a true freshman.
He had one freshman game. He had one freshman game all year.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. One freshman game against bigger receivers. What can you do? You got Ryan Mack, who, for those who know, that dude's legit.
Yeah.
He's very, very legit. I really wanted to see him this year, but you know what? Probably will be a blessing in disguise because he has a chance to bulk up a little bit. He's on the smaller side.
I think he got banged up a little bit.
Yeah. No, he was banged up. He missed the whole season. So,
and for those of you who haven't seen Ryan Mack or wonder why both of us smiled, so OJ did what we all thought Ryan Mack was going to do, essentially. So we're all excited because we know St. Thomas produces fantastic defensive backs, and OJ's proof of concept. So we know we've got the other one as well. So that's why we're excited about him.
right. So, yeah, you got OJ, you got Mack, you got Damari coming back, who, if he can get, that injury under control, which, I know they haven't made what the injury is public, but it's like those of us who know, it's like, man, that kind of injury, it's like a nagging thing. It's one day to the next. It's like touch and go. If that heals up 100%, he can deal with it. Bro, that is, you could argue that is the best corner in the ACC next year, Damari Brown. He's
very
that good.
Excited for him. I like that Mario's not even letting him rush it because I think he is special, and I do think you owe it to the guy himself too to not throw him out there before he's ready. I know they did try to get him a couple reps against Syracuse, but I think, and that's why I think if you add two to that room, I just think you get a great rotation too. You know what I mean? You get such a great rotation of corners, and guys like Mack can play a little bit everywhere. He can play some safety, he can play inside, he can play it. So I think that helps too. They did that a lot in last year's class. Dylan Day just can play DB. So I think some of the young guys will be able to fit in the rotation wherever they can. But I do think you bring in two. I think one of them needs to be a stud, probably, just in case. I think it needs to be a stud.
Yeah, sure. I think you bring in 3 to 4 secondary guys. All guys that can compete for starting snaps. It's got to be.
Yes.
And ideally, a couple of them should have years left, not just like a one and done.
Yeah.
It should be like Thieneman, I think, has 2 years of eligibility left, for example. You could take advantage of that. He's on I wouldn't say small, but he's 6 foot, 205, 208. So he's not probably stay the remaining years. I don't think he'll go to the league early.
I think Humphrey has 2, right? He's a sophomore right now. Yeah, he's got 2.
Yeah, Humphrey, Thieneman, all those, those guys have more than one. Yep. Our boy's saying, yeah, he's tackling.
And we need that. We do need that in our secondary, man.
We need that, the playmaker, the one that you're afraid to throw his way, and you need the guy like him that's like a Jaquan Johnson that's going to clean up all those plays, touchdown saving tackles, all that stuff. No, would definitely be. I'd be all right with bringing him in, trust me. But having those guys that have the extra years, that makes up for losing Drake Stubbs. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because you don't want to just get a one and done plug and play guy and then you lose him next year. You almost had Drake Stubbs, who would have been like
Yeah.
3 and out because he's that good. He probably would have been a first or second
100%.
rounder.
Yeah.
You lose him, unfortunately. Maybe we circle back on him next year. Who knows? You never know. But you got to make up for losing a guy like that. Bringing a guy that you can keep, like a Daryl Porter, stays around for 2-3 years.
Yes. That's a great example too. Because look at what happened with some of the guys. We would have loved to have Jaden Davis as our nickel this year.
I know.
Ben, why are you doing? First of all, this is you heard money you're spending probably. What? Second off, Ben knows how I feel. Actually, I like Eric Rivers. I think Rivers is nice. I like what John said, that he's a guy that can play everywhere. But if you're not sure about JoJo in the slot, and if you're hell bent on saying no, he's my number 2, I think he gives you a veteran in the slot, because Malachi Tony is just coming in a little too late. And of course, I'd love to see him early, but again, he's graduating a year early and he's coming in late. So we got to kind of temper our expectations. Some of the other portal receivers, it hasn't really popped crazy for receiver. I know CJ Daniels, the kid from LSU, is in, but it hasn't gone crazy for receivers yet, I don't think.
Ideally, if you're going to get somebody, Sam Brown had this attribute. He just, he had inconsistency with catching the ball and being there for the big play when it was there for him. But he does have the speed to take the top off the defense. I need a guy like that can stretch the defense, because I feel like at the position we've been missing that. We'll have a guy here and there like a Jeff Thomas who inconsistent, wasn't there every week. Amon Richards, for the one season, yeah, he was amazing, could do anything on the field, but he was only healthy for 1 year. Who else, if I'm missing anybody? The last guy I can think of maybe is Philip Dorsett, who was there consistently week in and week out.
I was going to say Philip Dorsett, Travis Hunter, but I mean, we're wearing Nike jerseys at this point in this conversation. Travis Benjamin, yeah. We're wearing Nike jerseys. You know what I mean? Like at this point in this conversation, we're going back pretty far. I think that's why the fan base got very excited when the guy from Georgia Tech entered, Eric Singleton. He's got wheels, man. He's got like serious wheels.
Yeah. No, if you bring in somebody, because I think CJ Daniels, he's more of a possession guy. If you're going to bring in somebody, give me someone with wheels. That's going to be like, okay, safeties, back it up 10 yards.
Because I think we have that. I think we've got route runners here with, Chance is a big guy who projects as, that possession guy. JoJo's a route runner. Horton has proven he's become a really good route runner under KB. Again, Malachi Tony, shifty guy inside. Got a big body guy in Joshua Moore, who I think has like T. Higgins upside, but again, true freshman. So I do think that's one of the things we're missing in the room. Even Ray is more of a shifty underneath guy. I think that's what we all thought we maybe would have gotten from Robbie Washington. And, Nye Carr's got some serious speed now. He could end up becoming that guy on the outside for us. The freshman, Dalen Upshaw, is incredibly fast, but again, freshman. Nye Carr is someone who I wouldn't mind. If we don't land that guy, I wouldn't mind them using Nye Carr to be, the clear out guy, the guy to kind of test safeties a bit next year. We didn't do that too much this year. We really didn't go bombs away a lot this year. I just don't think we had that style of receiver in the room.
Stacy Coley, that was one.
Great. Man,
God,
how we miss Coley?
God, if he stayed on that trajectory after his freshman year, man, he would have been one of the all-time greats.
We got an issue with number 3. He's my guy too. Some of these guys break your heart, man, because I
love Stacy Coley. But you know what? I'm seeing less busts with Mario and this staff. They know how to scout. I will give them that.
That's why I want them to trust it, because I trust this. I do believe that when they go this hard for a young man, they all signs point to yes. I'd be shocked if he didn't. If
I
Horton
feel like we
didn't.
would have heard something by now. It seems like
Yeah,
Horton is coming back. If I'm Horton, I come back because
yeah,
like
he's the guy. I mean, this is his
he's the
offense
guy
next
next year.
year.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He's the
yeah,
guy, and
it's
he's got the ability to be the guy.
and
It's
he's
not like
shown the progression year after year. I mean, he's our
yes,
third leading receiver this year. He's he's not just the sixth man anymore. I know he is the first guy off the bench in rotation and formations, but he's the third leading receiver this year.
let's see. I'm looking for Joshua. I did not see your comment. Let me scroll back and say, oh, CB, would you kick the tires on Tony Grimes? You familiar with him?
Is that the is that the
UNL.
dude from UNLV?
Yeah, I think it's the UNLV kid.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually just watched him this past week. He's number 0, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. He's very physical. Like 6'2", he's long. So my buddy's son plays safety on that team. Shout out to JB. Shout out to little JB. He's the team captain on their defense, Jonathan Baldwin II. So we watched some UNLV games just because, we're watching JB's kid. This kid is flashed. He's pretty good. I tell you who I like. What is his name? He's from UCF. He entered the portal, number 27, freshman corner.
Oh, Jason Johnson.
Yeah, I like him.
Mm-hmm.
I like him, dude. He's long.
Yes.
I watched a lot of UCF football this year. I've got a friend that plays over there.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like him. I know he set up a Miami visit pretty early, like very, very early. So I'm pretty excited, hoping we land him. Again, that's another guy with the experience, right? He's got a 1 year of experience playing as a freshman. But what you also get from him is you get the years, like we got with Daryl Porter. He still has 3 years of eligibility, maybe even 4 of eligibility, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because he started as a true freshman for UCF last year. So
and played some good ball, man. When he entered the portal, my first thought was, oh, we've got to at least kick the tires on him. Like,
well, we are
6'1".
Yeah. He's the exact.
I like it.
He's the exact body type you want, because you look at the guys visiting. There's definitely a certain body type they're looking at.
Yes,
I think the Syracuse game sent a very clear message. We are lacking size at that position. Size, athleticism, everything, but specifically size.
But definitely size, yes.
Little off topic here. Anthony says, do you guys think it shows incompetence of the administration and athletic department at Carolina that they had to hire Belichick, who doesn't have any college football experience? What do you think of that hire?
I'm waiting for I don't know. I'm waiting for the joke. I'm waiting for the I don't think he's going to want to recruit, man. I don't understand that one.
No, and to deal with the portal and NIL, and he'll be out in a year.
The day Bill Belichick has to renegotiate a redshirt freshman's NIL who wants more money to stay, he's going to lose his mind.
No,
I don't understand. I don't understand. I thought he'd take another league job. I'm confused. Unless he thinks he can't, he's going to need to put together a recruiting staff that's going to work like Mario works. Like they're going to have to do the work. Yeah, but that's a hell of a guy he does adapt with the times very well. That's a hell of a guy to bring in the living room of a young man's family, man.
Sure. Yeah. No. He'll recruit on name for sure, at least the first couple of years, but he's going to be like Dabo. He's going to be like transfer portal. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck,
he
man.
Figures out how much this shit costs. He's done.
Yeah. He won't last 2 years max if it's real, which it seems to be. Do you think Miami should fire Lance for someone with a proven track record in Power 5, or was it the players? This is a loaded question because the problems with the defense were multi-layered.
I think it was a lot of people.
It was a lot of people. It was not just one coach. I think it was multiple coaches. It was not just one player. I think it was multiple players. My opinion, I think, to put it in short and to be as nice as I can, nobody was on the same page. Not a single person. Not a single soul on that side of the ball was on the same page. Somebody goes in motion. Oh, do you got him? You got him? Oh, I don't know. I thought you had him. Touchdown. That's essentially, you don't have to watch the Georgia Tech tape. That was the whole game. Someone went in motion. Everything fell apart.
You saw this too much. I don't have the answer for this because he's 1-1, right? Because last year we were like,
he was great last year.
He was great. He did great with the pieces he had. Look how he used Flag last year and Corey Cow. He just seemed like, man, he can work with whatever ingredients you give him. And then this year, I had a lot of issues with some things, man. There were guys out of place, out of position, not being put in positions to be successful a lot of times, I felt like. So I struggle with this one. I don't know about you, John, but every other day, I change my opinion on this one. I struggle with it.
Definitely some blame goes on the players. I think we expected more from that safety room for sure, especially with a veteran like Mish Powell. You know, he had, 5 or 6 interceptions? Okay, great. But all the stuff in between those interceptions was...
Yeah, that's the pain. The numbers look great, but...
Football's one of those things that stats require context. Oh, he had 7 interceptions. Fantastic. How did they happen? Were they off deflections? Did he play in a shitty conference? What led to those interceptions? That's where the PFF stuff, I depends on the context, but that's where PFF I think is valuable, like coverage grades. They look at every single play and all that stuff. Mish, yeah, he just got beat too many times, got caught out of position too many times. He's a little small, so that didn't help him at all. But at the same time, from what I hear, he had to kind of be the coach on the field because, again, lack of communication from the staff to the players. It's just no one was on the same page.
See, to me, when I see stuff like that, players out of position too much, or no names will be called, but a player playing that bad in the secondary and he's still on the field, that's not a player. That to me, it's get that guy off the field. When you see things like them targeting our freshman corner and he had a rough day against Syracuse and you're blitzing safeties in the fourth quarter, leaving him still out there on an island when he's clearly having a rough go at it, to me, that's not on the player. That's help your young guy out always.
Did you bring the snack, CB?
Always. To me, that's what I'm saying, where sometimes I'm like, okay, well, this guy flat out took a bad angle, missed a tackle. And then I'm thinking, in other situations, why in the world are you blitzing Mish when we are struggling out to cover these guys one-on-one? Yeah. And they've figured it out. And they're targeting the kid, and he's clearly having a bit of a rough day. You know how you build that confidence back? You tell him, don't worry, jump everything in front of you. I'm going to put Mish over the top of you. We'll have a safety behind you at all times. If they keep trying you, jump it. You have our confidence. We're putting somebody behind you. Someone else will make the play if you miss, but go for it. That's what he needed. Instead of just, hey, it's cold and lonely out there, but stay out there. Yeah. That kind of stuff confused me, man. It just confused me.
Yeah. No, I don't mean to pick on Mish Powell. I was just using him as one example. The blame goes across the board. I mean, Kiko's drop-off was like, wow. I think he's so much better than what he showed. Again, I think that was it was a lot of confusion. And when you're confused, and we have fast guys on the defense, Jaden Harris was one of the fastest guys on the team on straight 40 times. We have a couple guys in the secondary that are that fast.
That are really fast, yeah.
That are really fast. It's not that we're lacking speed per se. It was if the ball is snapped and you take a step in the wrong direction, that one wrong step, you're done. Now, guess what? You look slow because you're a step behind the entire play. And there was a lot of that happening, or even worse, because at least in that you're decisive. At least you pick a side. What I saw a lot of too is guys, the ball is snapped and guys are flat-footed on their heels, just kind of waiting for the play to come to them. Yeah. And then they're 5 steps behind. And then on top of it, this was one thing with actually, no, I won't say specific names, but certain guys at, linebacker, safety, guys in the box trying to make tackles, instead of keeping their eyes up or just, you kind of staying at home and waiting for them to come out of the hole and make the tackle, they'll just throw their shoulder into the pile and they escape out the other way.
Or they take, here's one of the things that drove me crazy this year is overflowing due to misdirection, getting pinned down in the wrong gap.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things I didn't see from our linebacker group last year. Same players. So I struggle with, there was some regression with some players that I feel like should have played better. But I do think we've got some good young talent on this team. I think the transfer portal can add to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this team can be strong next year again. I really do. Obviously, we're all going to mourn 4,000 passing yards. It's never happened before for us. But I do want Canes fans to relax. It doesn't have to be all world to win 10 games. If the defense is better, you don't need 4K to win 10 games. You don't. It's lovely when it happens. It really is. It's been fun. But you don't need that. You don't.
No. Georgia won 2 national titles with Stetson Bennett. So, yes, we missed a golden opportunity.
He threw for 2,600 this year or something like that? Or no, he threw for 3,300. He threw for 3,300. Respectable. It's a great number.
Yeah. No, and he was effective. When he needed to make a big throw, he made that throw. But it's like they also have studs on defense. They play well on special teams, which I feel like we haven't had consistent special teams play in a very long time. It's like, hey, we finally got a good punt return, but then in that same game, we allow a kickoff for a touchdown.
I don't even know. I don't understand a lot of times our return strategy, not the returner. I'm not throwing shots at any returners. The strategy doesn't seem like a very competitive strategy.
No.
When in high school, our special team coach used to scream "compete" to you if you didn't field a punt. Now, obviously, you don't want to field punts in stupid scenarios. You have to have your football IQ and play situational football. But if you fair caught something that you could have, if you had even a chance to get 5, he would scream "compete." He'd say, "Why don't you want to compete? Compete. Get me 5 more yards. What if we stall out on this drive and we're 5 yards away from field goal range and now we're punting?"
Mm-hmm.
That's where you come in as a returner. Get me 7. Get me 10. You don't always got to pop 40, but get me 10. Get me 15. Get me positive yards.
Yeah.
It's a game of inches, man. So everything you can get is worth it. So sometimes I don't feel like we're set up to return a lot of these. They just want a fair catch it where it is. And that comes from the sideline. I would very much like to see them compete a bit more in that aspect. I really would.
Sure.
Beamer ball can win you football games, man. Frank Beamer didn't make all that money for all those years playing special teams football because it was cute. He did it because it works.
Yeah. No, and you don't need 5-star talent to win on special teams. That's one of those things that if it's just well coached and you execute, you can turn a football game around. But yeah, no, but if all 3 phases are clicking, you don't need a Cam Ward at quarterback. It's like you said, it would be nice. It's like, oh, we had a generational talent. We're not going to have that again. That's not the point. Mario was here to build the entire roster, to build a program. Okay. You don't need a guy that's going to be Superman under center on every possession. Because it's not sustainable. You need all 3 things clicking. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to win a championship, you want to win multiple championships. So that's the goal. But Anthony here says, John and CB, what are your thoughts on, we talked about one of these guys already, about Cole Wisniewski, I think is his name, from North Dakota State. Dylan, I think he means Thieneman, who we just talked about, and the corner from Washington State, who I think the Canes Insight guys talked about the Washington State kid.
I could have sworn they talked about him.
They did.
I saw interest. Listen, if they're a defensive back and they're pretty good, I think we're making the phone call.
Oh yeah,
but I think, well, John made this point earlier. Guys, pay attention to the ones they are calling. They're long, they're physical. I think they've kind of understood that they do need a body style and a type of corner. A lot of these guys you're watching, Rasta's good about it. Florida boy Corey's good about it on Twitter. When any of them show interest, they'll post a nice video, a clip of something that they do, or a highlight, and you're seeing the same style of corner. Tony Grimes, another one, long, physical,
Hmm.
competitive guys that compete when the ball is in the air. I'm bullish on all of them. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, I'm bullish on all of them.
Yeah. And if you get a DC in here, assuming we get a new DC next year that can maximize their talents, because to answer the question from 10 minutes ago, some was on the players, but at the end of the day, it's
Yeah,
Lance Guidry's unit. There was stuff that should have gotten cleaned up in spring. Like, how was that not cleaned up? And you know what? Certain amount of blame goes up to Mario as well.
yeah,
How did you not see that months ago? You know what I mean?
yeah.
But
There are some issues that I'm wondering how, and I'm sorry, but he's got to take a lot of the blame for the bad safety play because he coaches the safeties.
Guidry, yes, he does. Yeah. And
Not to pile on him, but I mean, my dad always said you win the prizes you play for.
right, right. That's smart. That's true. From Junior Perez, another question is why is it hard for Miami to develop their own players? Seems like we're always getting players that's already developed elsewhere. Then we see our players leave and thrive. I'm going to push back a little bit on that because usually when players leave us, aside from a couple of guys at SMU, I don't see guys leaving here and then thriving elsewhere.
No, I mean,
Aside,
I think there's recency bias because of the SMU thing.
but even then,
Um,
look closely at SMU. It's Brashard, obviously.
yes.
Elijah Roberts was a first-team All-American last year. Congrats to him, Columbus kid. Love Elijah. Wish he could have stayed. But then after that, who? I can't think of
No,
anybody.
because they literally basically redshirted Brenton this year, so he didn't play much because they were set at receiver, so they wanted to
Yeah,
they wanted to hold him for a year. Nigel Lee Kelly had a pretty good year for UCF, but we knew Nigel Lee Kelly was pretty good. I think it was just a crowded room. He was banged up last year.
he had the injury. Yeah,
Who left and that we can go, wish you'd have done that here. I don't think other than Brashard and Roberts.
I
I mean,
can't.
we knew Nigel Lee Kelly was a 6, 7, 8 sack guy.
Yeah,
There's just there's 8 people in the room, so he was thinking, let me go be the guy. But he was already proven. Now we knew Nigel Lee could do that.
yeah,
I,
yeah. But
the narrative that the guys that leave here become otherworldly, and it's no disrespect to them, it just hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened. And a lot of them, if you guys are paying attention, a lot of these guys are in the portal again this year.
Yep. Yeah, it hasn't happened. And as for the beginning of the question, why is it hard for to develop our own players? I think 2 years ago or a year ago, maybe this was a valid complaint. But now, because I started as you were talking, as it came to my mind, I was taking notes so I don't forget the names. You look at because Mario's now in year 3, so you can now look at okay, who has he developed? Ahmad Moten has developed quite a bit.
Yep.
Mark Fletcher, year 1 to year 2, I think he's much better. Matthew McCoy came in as a 3-star.
Yep.
That guy's going to play in the NFL.
Yep.
Inez Cooper,
Come on.
that guy's going to play in the NFL. Jalen Rivers, he's developed quite a bit. Freaking Isaiah Horton, Xavier Restrepo. X was not X 2 years ago. I'm sorry, he was not the same player. Jacoby George has developed. You can point to that's like almost 10 guys we just mentioned right off the bat that have developed, that have been, I think those are all our own guys. I don't think I mentioned any transfers. Damari Brown, who I think all of us that are in the weeds, we all know what he was about to do on the field. If you watch that first quarter against Florida, he was about to be an all-conference dude this year. We've developed. Mario has, I wouldn't say it's like A+, but Mario has done, I would say, a solid job developing his guys so far. So, yeah, maybe a year or two ago, that was a valid complaint. I don't think it's a complaint anymore. I think we're developing much better now.
West Passaic played some good football this year, too.
Up and down. Yeah, he was there in some games.
Look at a guy like who, and then I think with some of the guys that have just been asked to play a smaller role, to look at Malik Bryant. Anytime he came in, did a really good job on the edge. I think Mario's done a good job
Malik,
developing. I think the argument will be really made next year because it was really last year's class and the class before it that we're really banking on is the core of this football team. It's really the 23 and the 24 class that we were banking on being the core of this team. So I think next year you'll see it even more because you'll see Popo Aguirre on the field. You'll see the Justin Scotts, the Armando Blunts, the Zaquan Pattersons. You know, I think you're going to see
Armando Blunt. I'm so excited about him.
Man. God, people don't even realize we've got a monster, and he's 18.
Just turned 18. Like
he's a kid. He's a baby.
Let's just say this. I mean, that dude was a problem in practice. Like, obviously, younger kid, turned 18 much later. He reclassified at a position where people don't usually reclassify because you got to be a grown man at that position. But he's that physically developed and he's that intelligent that he was able to do it. That's very rare.
He's also an honor roll student. Like he's insane.
All world across the board. Do whatever you have to do to keep him here.
Yes,
dude is a problem, and now that he's developing more of his like that man strength. I think this coming year you're gonna see some like fans are gonna be really blown away by Armando Blunt. Let's just say that.
I don't think people realize the amount of talent that's on that defensive line that next year will get a chance to fully be unleashed. Justin Scott, Armando Blunt, Artavius Jones, Cole McConaughey, Booker Pickett Jr. Yep. I don't think people quite realize what's brewing in that room. And Hayden Lowe, the kid that we flipped from USC, he's got a grown man body now. That defensive line, that room, holy cow. I think it's going to be another strength for us.
D-end is another position that I think you 100% roll with what you got. I don't think you need to take a single edge rusher.
No, I think you're okay. Because you're going to have Bain, you're going to have Bryant, you're going to have... Here's the question: Does Blunt play inside and outside next year? I would imagine a little bit of both. If he keeps growing, he'll grow out of being an outside guy.
He's a bit of a tweener still, but yeah, I think eventually he settles in at D tackle. I think he's got the frame. He's he'll fill out, and I think he'll buy.
So loaded on the edge, though, man. It's just. We talk about everyone, and we still have Ruben Bain. Like we talk about all these other guys
who missed half the season.
You still have Ruben Bain, who look, man, for everything about that Syracuse game. Go back and just watch Ruben Bain snaps. Just watch Ruben Bain. If McCourt wasn't getting the ball out early, Ruben Bain would have had an absolute field day. That he was unblockable. Yeah. Absolutely unblockable.
Let's see. Jared Harrison Hunt was first. He was first team all ACC. See that? I was not aware of. Okay, so that's another one. Yeah, you got a handful at SMU. He
played good for us in spots, but that's another guy. I mean, that was a depth thing. You know, the edge room was too. The defensive line room as a whole was just a little too stacked. I don't think. Who's the kid? We didn't lose ETN, right? And it's going to Georgia, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't think we've lost that guy. Brashard is probably the closest to that, right?
Yeah. No, but if you look at all the guys we've lost to the portal the last 4 or 5 years, I mean, it's a very low percentage that like turn into an all-conference player where they end up.
They do good with their evals.
Yeah, no, they've been pretty solid. Roger Allen says Emory Williams translates to 6-6 or 7-5 game manager. I don't think this is what ends up happening. I don't think we end up just rolling with Emory. But what do you think about this statement?
I don't know if that's the case. The weapons are there. The running game is there. The offensive line is there. He wouldn't get touched. I mean, we know that. He's not going to get touched. The weapons are there. The safety valve is there with a guy like Elijah Lofton at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
The running game is there, and Mario is going to always run the football. I mean, I don't care who's under center. With Cam under center, we ran the football. So we're going to run the football. If the defense is better, no, I mean, I know we like dual threat guys. A lot of guys like dual threat guys, but uh, do we think his ceiling is anywhere lower than Cade Klubnik's?
I think it's lower than Klubnik because Klubnik came in as a 5-star recruit, and you see flashes of that 5-star recruit in him. I don't think Emory has that. What he does have, he plays with emotion. He plays with passion. You see it on the sideline. He's a very vocal leader, which I
Yes,
think
he
that
is.
I think that matters. I think that matters a great deal, and I think the players like playing for him.
They like him. It seems like they like him quite a bit.
They love him, and I think that matters because it like unites everybody. Everybody plays together. Everybody's on the same page. I think all that, you played football. All that matters when you're playing together like that.
Especially quarterback, man. That's
Yeah, yeah. And
as a receiver, dude, I have to be willing to open up my body in the middle of the field for you. When you throw it
right,
outstretched, I have to love you enough to expose my
let,
ribs. You
let
know
me
what I
get this
mean?
catch for you.
And
Yeah,
it's as an offensive, and I think it. I think if they feel like he's the guy, they know better than all of us. If they feel like he's the guy and they're reading the temperature of the locker room and the locker room feels like he's the guy, they're going to play hard for him. If the players want him to be the guy, they'll play hard for him. I don't think we go with Emory this year. I could see us going up with another one and done guy and having Emory and Luke battle it out next year. I do think if you go out and you get a 2 or 3 year guy, you probably shake up the room quite a bit. And I think that's just on who's available.
yeah,
The transfer portal is not free agency. We don't know that their scholarships are up. You know what I mean? So you never know who's jumping in.
yeah. But no, to answer that real quick, I think he's better than a 7-5 QB. He's developed quite a bit, and that's another guy that's developed. I think that he's a little more accurate. He's more poised. He's a big dude. He's 6'4" and looks every bit
He
of
is not a
6'4".
small person.
He is a very big
Yeah.
QB. Not mobile. Not gonna lie, he is not nimble, but
He's a big guy. Right? He's a
he
big
will.
dude.
He is a big old school pocket quarterback. Very smart. One thing that Cam had the issue with is taking his check down. Until the last couple of games, he started doing it a little more, but Emory has no problems doing that. He will take the check down. He will keep the ball out of the defense's hands. He'll take all the smart plays, and with the weapons we have next year, that would be enough to win you at least 9 games. Obviously,
I
that's
think
not
so.
the goal. Now that we've won 10, we've gotten a taste of that. We're like, we want more.
Yeah.
And I'll get into that in a minute. But Anthony, yeah, to address your question, you were asking about Feineman, Wisniewski, and the kid from Washington State. If those are our DBs that we take, hey, I am not unhappy.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Wisniewski, he's an intriguing one because he's from North Dakota State, plays at a lower level of college football. Dude is 6'4", 218, and a tackling machine.
They
Like,
play good football, man. I know it's a
they
lower
do.
level, but they play good football.
They do. They're well coached. He's a big kid, fast. He's athletic, but he has the knee injury. So brings me a little pause with Wisniewski. If not for the knee injury, I'm taking him right now. He's kind of like Peyton Wilson for NC State that he's in the NFL now. Safety version of Peyton Wilson.
There's a linebacker too. God, who is it? Who is a lot? They were talking about him today, and he does have some interest. Well, obviously, I mean, they all have a little bit of interest from Miami. I want to say he's from Oregon State. Is it either Oregon State or Oklahoma State? Where is he
Oklahoma
from?
State. I think Fresh was talking about him in the chat earlier. Let's see if I scroll down.
So I'm looking at a list of the top 40 guys. I can't believe Malik Murphy entered the transfer portal.
So, okay. I'm glad you brought that up real quick. Quarterbacks. I know I saw the post I'm looking at it on Instagram right now, actually, that Auburn and Miami are the two names tied to him right now. I don't think for one sec. Yeah. No. This was reported by. I'll tell you right now. The transfer portal page from On3 on Instagram. That it refreshed.
No.
So
The
yeah,
hardest of no's.
No. Sometimes they throw these names out. Remember, a lot of this is driven by their agents, like the teams that they're talking to and all that to throw get the rumors started. A lot of that's driven by agents and all that stuff. So but when you see a guy that's visiting a certain school or they're tied to a certain school, don't always like take it at face value. You know what I'm saying? Kind of wait.
Big kid, strong arm.
Yeah.
He's got a cannon for an arm. But we kind of only saw him throw a slant and a go this year, basically.
He's got a cannon for sure. Mobile, big kid, tough to bring down, but he's got multiple years of eligibility. You don't blow up the room for him.
For him, no.
You blow up
I'm not blowing up. No disrespect to you, Malik. I'm not blowing up the room for Malik.
You blow up the room for, a couple of my favorites, Darian Mensah. You blow up the room for that kid. Jackson Arnold, even. I like Jackson Arnold a lot.
I like Jackson.
Yeah.
There's a quarterback I quite like a lot that I would blow up. I would blow up the room for, but he's not in the portal yet. So if he enters the portal, I'll be very excited. If he doesn't, dude. To someone's comment earlier, you do. Oh,
I for him. I mean, I don't know how many years he has left. He may be a one and done guy.
I think 2.
2 years.
But does he take him if he goes off for a year? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like if he has if he throws for 3,700 next year at a P5, he may cash in on that NFL, buzz. I don't know if the quarterback class is that strong next year.
Yeah, but no, Mateer in the open field. Oh my God, as a runner and as a passer, he could do both. But so one topic I wanted to hit with you, and we can close out on this because we're already past an hour. We touched on it with getting the 10 wins this year and kind of finally getting a taste of double-digit wins. And one thing that has happened in the past, bring up some history in case you guys have forgotten. Back in the day, Randy Shannon, when he was the coach, he came in and it was almost the same thing. It was 5-7, then 7-6, lost in the Emerald Bowl in 2008. And then in 2009, year 3, he goes 9-4. Kind of the same trajectory, similar to what Mario's doing.
Actually.
And it's, again, bringing in his own guys. He's recruiting well. Some of the same narratives, although I don't think he developed that well. But still, 5 wins, 7 wins, 9 wins. Year 4, goes 7-6. Lots of hype, major drop-off. He ends up getting fired. Al Golden goes 6-6 year 1. Then goes 7-5 year 2. No bowl game in either year because of the Nevin Shapiro thing. And then in year 3 goes 9-4. Again, similar trajectory. 6 wins, 7 wins, 9 wins. A lot of it with recruiting. Year 4, I think in 2015, 2014, what did they go, like 6-7? I think it was Kaya's freshman year. I think they went 6-7. There was a big drop off. And then in year 5, he ends up getting fired halfway through. So you get what I'm saying. It's same trajectory. Now here we are again. 5 wins, 7 wins, 10, possibly 11 wins.
Dude, that is crazy when you look at this, dude.
Mm-hmm. Same trend. Now let me ask you this. What does Mario have to do? He may already be doing it. You tell me. What does Mario have to do to prevent that backslide in year 4?
I think it's the way he has recruited and added to the roster, the depth, the layers of the recruiting. Where when it's Bobby Washington, Popo, Marcellius Pulliam, Malik Bryant, all in a class. So yeah, one of them leaves in the portal. Now there's still 3. Mm-hmm. I think he's just added so much depth. He's trying to build for the future, and it's really hard to do in today's game because by their sophomore years, listen, if they're redshirt sophomores and they're not playing, they're probably leaving. So it's hard to do. It's really hard to build consistency and a pipeline within your own program where, okay, he's the guy for 2 years and it's yours. And it's but I think he's doing it with bulk. I think that's why we're seeing 23 come in a class, 22 in a class. I think he's trying to make sure that the success he has is long-term success, because if he builds the culture should sustain.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is a lot of
Right.
times your culture is encapsulated in 4 years because those players leave and they don't pass that down to anybody. And I think if you can build the culture and what we call it the logo, if the logo is stronger than the name on the back, then it's reloading and retooling rather than just rebuilding. I think that's what he's trying to do. And he's trying to, we see it how he's tried to layer the rooms, the quarterback room, the running back room, the receiver room. He's trying to layer it so that you can see when it's your turn too. So you know what I mean? There is no, oh, when do I get my shot? Okay, well, X graduates next year. You're gonna redshirt, you're gonna play a little bit, and then it's your turn. I think that's what he's trying to do. It's a little old school, so it's hard to do in today's era of college football. But I think he's done a good job of it so far. I really do. The depth is there. There are some positions where the depth is there. It's just not experienced enough yet. So that's why we need a safety. We're not saying we need to fill the safety room, but we need an experienced guy to start, because the depth, yeah, there's 4 guys, but they're all, they're redshirt freshmen this year. We're talking about Dylan Day, Isaiah Thomas, and Zaquan Patterson. They're all freshmen this year. So the depth is there. The layers are there. I think that's what he's done. He's created a bit of an onion that, all right, if he goes, it's this guy. It's next man up. The problem is you run into eventually one of them next men is not very good. And it's how do you circumvent that? We ran into that this year. And I think he's going to do a good job sprinkling in where he needs from the portal, but still trusting the evals and promoting from within. We're seeing it throughout this team. A lot of the star players from this team were not the portal guys. The quarterback was, yes, but Inez Cooper is not. CeCe Mauino is not. Mark Fletcher is not. Jordan Lyle is not. Xavier Restrepo, Jacoby George, Elijah Arroyo. These are Canes. These are Mario guys. So he's building from within and he's layering the classes. And I think that's what's going to help us hopefully sustain this and not have one of these dropouts. It's insane. If you guys actually look at this, like just look at it year by year, it's crazy to look at it from like 05, 9, 7. Well, that's Coker's last 2 years. And then with Randy Shannon, 5, 7, 9, 7, Golden 6, 7, 9, 6, 8. And then Rick has his 9, 10, but then 7. Like it's it's almost scary.
There's always a backslide. Yes,
it's almost scary to look at.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand the trepidation from the fan base where they're like, okay, just don't have too big of a backslide. And it's a schedule next year, fellas. It's a pretty decent schedule next year.
Yeah, no, it's tough, and I think Mario is getting ready for that. He's probably already thinking of that first game against Notre Dame. He's like, I got to beef up those trenches on defense. I got to make sure I got a quarterback. We got to be able to stop the run. Oh, I'm sure all that's going through his mind. He's always thinking that far ahead.
And it's Notre Dame. Mario's an old school Cane.
Yeah. And we got the Gators. And we got the Gators at home.
Yeah.
Early in the season. So a bit of a gauntlet to start. And the ACC is no joke. Georgia Tech is getting much better. Syracuse, I mean, they look like
they're going to be a problem. As long as that guy's there, as long as that coach is there, they're going to be a problem.
Yeah. And they come here next year. So that should be a fun one. Little chance for revenge. So does Georgia Tech. So, it's going to be interesting. And I think we got Louisville again.
Turn Georgia Tech into what North Carolina became. We can't continue. Like 2 years in a row, I've had enough. I've had enough.
No. I don't think that'll happen. But anyway, my thought on that is what makes Mario different. And I think about this a lot, but what makes Mario different from the past guys is 2 things. A, he's got money. He's got the money behind him.
Yeah.
The program did not support the last guys. And honestly, if you point to the other regimes, Yeah, an influx of millions would have helped all of those guys. But it didn't. I mean, how many recruits do you hear the stories now years later is like, wait, that guy could have been a Kane? Wait, hold up. That guy could have been a Kane?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
you hear about, you hear Jalen Ramsey, you hear
there's quite a few, like
there's too many.
There's
just too many.
5 to 10 all world guys over the last 20 years.
And they hold it against us. And when they tell you, you go, is that why he played so good against us? Because it's always someone that killed us. And you go, oh, that's why you were so angry.
Remember Santonio Holmes, I think was his name, Ohio State? Yeah, he could have been a Kane. Easily could have been a Kane. He was ours if we wanted him.
Dalvin Cook.
I'm gonna make myself depressed.
You could build a national championship roster.
Didn't DK
with the guys who went Lamar Jackson? Like, it's
Lamar Jackson. Yeah, he was in your backyard. You could. I mean, a lot of teams didn't want to take the chance on him. I don't totally blame him. Tutu Atwell. DK Metcalf, I think, said in an interview he wanted
to be a Kane. Yes.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of others.
The other day,
I want to say Devontae Freeman when he was at Central. That was one we could have had.
There was a really high profile. I was just listening to him say it on an interview. He's out of the NFL now, but not. It's gonna drive me crazy. I will definitely tweet you when this hits me later tonight. And he mentioned out of nowhere, he was just like, I always wanted to go to Miami. And I was thinking, Zay Flowers is another one. Yeah.
I want to say
as a fan base, we don't have patience for Zay Flowers. When we sign 3-star receivers, the fan base loses their mind. Oh yeah, him too.
OBJ could have been here. Yeah,
him too.
No, but I think the money Mario has on his side, the scouting, I think he's just better than the last guys were. And I think this goes hand in hand. I think the money helps the development because obviously you got to be a good football coach to develop, but I think having the facilities, the nutrition, the weight room, all the equipment that you want, if you ask the school, you basically have a blank check here, whatever you need, that is going to help you with development.
I think so too. I think having them believe in him, he's also credit where credit is due. Mario works as if he believes it's his last day, and the only thing that can get him another day is to work his tail off. He legit works like he's an assistant trying to make sure he has a paycheck on Friday. Hey, stop putting names now. I'm getting upset again.
I didn't know about Khalil Mack. I wonder if that's...
I didn't know that about that one. That's crazy.
I mean, he went to Buffalo, didn't he? Anybody could have had Khalil Mack.
Yeah, I mean, he probably says that about a lot of teams, but
yeah. But yeah, man. Thank you for coming on. We're past an hour. I don't want to keep you on too long, man. I'm sure you're tired. But
always
yeah, man.
A pleasure, man. Love it. I always love coming on here, man.
I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, and the portal's just going to keep getting crazier, folks. This is only the beginning. Remember, for all you that are not too excited about some of the names that have hit yet, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just like last year. And it's probably going to be more than last year because you got the playoffs. You got 12 teams in there that nobody can hit the portal until they get eliminated.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell fans. Everyone kind of relax a little bit. I think that's why no one's signing the first day of the portal because a lot of these teams are waiting too. They're like John said, there's 12 teams. So and we're seeing a lot more guys decide to play in bowl games this year too. So I would sit back and wait. I kind of wish the portal didn't open until the day after the national championship. This way, everyone has a fair shot. I don't think it's fair to the young men that play on a team that makes the college football playoff. Like if you're a backup and you're hoping to leave and get a starting spot somewhere next year, I don't think it's fair to you. You kind of have to make a tough decision to leave during a playoff run. Yeah. So I think it shouldn't open until after. But I think maybe that's why we're not seeing guys with signing graphics the day of. As like, last year, a lot of these people went in non-contact and they were committed the day the portal officially opened. I think it's because there's a lot of depth on these on 12 football teams, 12 good football teams. So there's going to be a lot of quality players leaving those football teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those SEC powers, man. It's like 85 scholarships, but somehow they have 287 players. It's like
I was gonna say, and they over recruit every single one of them.
I don't know how they pull that off, but
Texas, I need an investigation. They have way too many. Every week during this last class, they're getting a new commit. I'm thinking, how many commits do you have?
Bro, McConaughey's their 5th string quarterback. Like, bro, they're
insane. It's
John, is Cam playing the bowl game? Cam, yeah, Junior Camps did say, or at least gave the idea that he's playing. Let's see what happens. You know, his agent's going to have something to say about that, I'm sure, because he may be the number 1 quarterback taken. He stands to make a lot of money. I love that Cam wants to play.
Me too.
But to me, he's the only one. I'm a little old school on this. If you're going to be the number 1 pick or a first rounder and you got millions guaranteed, fine. Sit out the bowl game. That's, you know, doesn't have any playoff implications.
I think when Shedeur announced he was going to play, I was like, oh, Cam's playing. They're too alike.
Yeah.
When that happened, I was thinking, oh, he's going to play. I do wish this would start a trend of players playing in bowl games again, just because I'm a traditional college football guy.
Me too.
But I will never I do understand the other argument. Even though I love it, I do understand, hey, top 3 pick, dude, non-contact injuries happen all the time. So, but we're praying that everyone comes out the bowl healthy, whether they're going into the draft or coming back. We obviously don't want to see anyone get hurt. But, yeah, Cam did say he's playing. Damian Martinez said he's going to play as well. It looks like we're not going to have too many opt-outs, and that's cool.
That's great to see because the teams we play, they see our logo and they're like, oh, I'm playing. So
they show up. So please show up.
Yeah.
It's also a sign of culture. That's a sign of culture.
Absolutely. That's a sign of culture. And look, if you're a 3rd rounder or 5th rounder, bro, you could have gotten hurt the entire season. Just play. It's one more game.
Yeah, just play.
You
may get one more. You may go off. You know,
you may put good tape out there. You may make yourself some money. Yeah.
You may go off. Yeah, I think I remember Shedeur saying that's one of the reasons he wanted to play because some of his receivers still need some tape. So he wants to get one more big game for someone like Jimmy Horn, who was hurt a little bit. And I know Cam's a big fan of Sam Brown, so he may want to have Sam Brown have a big game. Jacoby could use one more big one, you know. So I'm excited. I'm excited that he's playing. Win a bowl game. I just want to win a bowl game, dude. Just win the bowl game, please. It's a football game on the schedule. Win it.
Jacoby, if you're listening, please do not headbutt anybody. Please do not punch somebody in the face in the 4th quarter in a tie game.
Please.
Don't let that be your lasting memory as a Hurricane. You have one more game.
Please.
Have a Texas A&M game. Go off for 180 for 3 touchdowns and just go to the bench and just call it a career.
Yeah, just quietly, please. Yeah, I think so. Who for a lot of people, I'm happy we have the bowl game. I don't want Cam's last college football game to be, you know, the loss. Jacoby's last memory with everyone is that late penalty. You know what I mean? Some of the guys on defense, their last memory right now is the Syracuse game. So let's wipe that nasty taste out of our mouth. Let's close out the season with a win. That momentum just carries into next year.
I agree. It carries over. But anyways, man, thank you again for being on. You can catch him Twitter at Corey Carmona. You see his handle right there. Chalupa Batman, your very successful YouTube channel that is still growing. Please, if you haven't subscribed, go subscribe. And if I forgot to say it, thank you for the few donos that came in. Really appreciate it as always. And until next time, let's throw those U's up. Go Canes, baby.
Canes.